Perfect. Okay. Let me see if it's gonna, there we go. All right. Thank you all for joining our team call this week. I'm so excited to introduce my friend, Randi. Randi and I met on our long flight home from Hawaii. And we literally talked for, I don't know, 5 hours straight when we were supposed to be sleeping. But like once we started, we just couldn't stop. And I came to find out that we're both Sapphires, and Randi is a military wife. In her husband's the Air Force. They have 2 girls. She homeschools, and she also was a professional photographer before she found Plexus. So she just shared a little bit of her journey on the plane with me, and it was so interesting to me because a lot of us who are jewels, or a lot of you on our team, saw a lot of us rank up and hit jewel status during COVID and all the crazy. But Randi was in our company, and she is not one of those people that like COVID was necessarily amazing to. She has since pulled her team to jewel, and I want to hear her story and have her share that with you all tonight. She loves the Lord, which is our team as well, and I'm just so excited to have her on here. Thank you for joining us tonight, Randi. You can take it away, and then at the end, if anyone has any questions, if you don't mind answering those, then we'll let you go and we'll jump into our book study.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. So yeah, I actually have been with Plexus for 7 years. It was 7 years in October. I started the products, not much different than anybody else's story. We obviously needed the products. I had hormone imbalances, leaky gut, candida yeast overgrowth, all the things. If you were to give me the list of the things where there's like 40 things, I'm pretty sure I had almost every single one of them. It was terrible. So I went from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was going on. And this was, by the way, 10 years ago, where I went doctor to doctor. No one could help me. I feel like a lot of us hear that, like everything's fine, nothing's wrong, right? But yet I couldn't eat food. I had allergies all the time. My immune system was weakened. One thing I noticed is I did CrossFit a lot, and I used to be able to deadlift 180 pounds, and all of a sudden I could only deadlift 70. And I was like, why am I so weak? What's going on? And so I struggled this way for 3 years. I started following holistic doctors. I ate paleo, and still things weren't getting any better. So it wasn't until I started Plexus that things changed for me. After 2 weeks, I started noticing my moods improving and my energy levels improving, and just my hair loss, my hair not falling out in 2 handfuls, and just all the things. It happened quickly for me. So that was within 2 weeks. And this was actually, I actually started August 2015. By October is actually when I upgraded to ambassador, because I remember talking to my upline, and I said, I'm feeling better. Does this mean I have to stay on this for the rest of my life? And she was like, well, let me put it this way. If you go to the gym and you're working out and you get very toned and then you stop, do you stay toned? And I was like, man. So I decided to upgrade. Very, very skeptical. I told her still, I was like, I'm not working this business. I want nothing to do with it. Like Katie said, I was a professional photographer. I loved what I did, and I had no desire to do something like this. But the business kind of fell into my lap. So October I upgraded, and I don't even know why, but I just started sharing, because I think I was just so excited that I finally found something that worked for me after struggling for years. And you guys, I was the girl on Facebook that when I did post, it was always complaining and whining and crying. Like, I'm sick. Oh, I can't eat this. I can't do that. It was constant. So it makes me laugh sometimes when I look at my memories now to see how terribly sick I was and how negative I was. So that was me. So anyway, everyone knew the journey that I was on. Everyone knew that I had been sick. Everyone knew all the things. And so when I put myself out there, I had so many people reaching out to me saying, can it help with this? Can it help with this? Can it help with this? And so I went gold within 2 months. When I went gold, I kind of was like, oh, okay, maybe I can do this. This is kind of cool. And I was living in Italy at the time. So like she said, I'm a military spouse. We've lived all over the world. And at the time I was living in Italy. Legally, as spouses, we are not allowed to share. We are not allowed to have a business. So I ended up blocking everyone who was following me that lived there, so they couldn't see what I was sharing, and just continued to share. But I didn't take this business serious until I moved back that following year, that summer of 2016, and I ended up earning my first leaders retreat. And so when I got there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is incredible. And that was in October of 2016. And that's when I decided and drew my line in the sand and said, I'm going to go Emerald. Like, this would be really cool. So my goal obviously was July. I think all of our goals always by July, right? Because we want to make sure we make that trip. I didn't make the trip, guys. I hit Emerald August of 2017, the month after. I was the only person who ranked up that month. So here I am, the only Jewel that didn't get invited to the trip because I made it the month after. It was kind of disappointing, and I kind of had to unfollow people for a little bit for that reason. But yeah, so I hit it in August 2017. That was also the month that I moved to Korea. So I moved back to the States for only 10 months. Then we moved to Korea for 2 years. That was a very challenging time in my business. Because I was on the other side of the world, everything was flip-flopped, the hours. And so, when it is 9 p.m. here, I think it was like 7 a.m. there. It depended, because the daylight savings too, it kind of changed with the hours. And I'm on the East Coast, by the way. So it might be different depending on where you guys are, but it was completely flip-flopped. And so I had to figure out, how am I going to do this? How am I going to be able to talk to my team? How am I going to be able to even run a business like this? And I figured it out. I had to, some nights I would stay up till midnight just talking to my team. It wasn't fun. I didn't do it all the time. And then anytime I had my corporate coaching calls, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning just to get on those calls. And so to me, it was worth it to, figure out those hours to make it work. And I did. And so, yeah, so I stayed Emerald for trying to think, I actually hit Sapphire April of this year. So that was in 2017. Not 5 years. So it was like 4.5 years. 4.5 years in the Emerald, and I reached Sapphire. And just like Katie said, I wasn't one of the teams that blew up at COVID. So what had happened during those years, 2019 is when I moved back to the States. I'm sorry if this is really confusing, because I know I'm like, I moved here, and then I moved there, then I moved here. My life is crazy. But anyway, 2019, I moved back to the States, and I had 8 months. It was 8 months before the world shut down, or the United States shut down, I should say, when I moved back. Well, excuse me, when I moved back. So I was in a place where I was super excited. I just moved back to the States. I'm like, all right, we're going to go Sapphire and Diamond, and everything's going to happen very quickly for me. And the funny thing is, I just have to share this with you guys. In Korea, we didn't have to, there was no forcing, but we had to wear masks because the air quality was so bad there. They said it was like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. So I did wear masks over there, the N95 masks. And so I remember throwing them away, and I'm like, I just want to burn these. I'm so excited. I'll never have to wear a mask ever again in my life. 8 months later, I come back to the States, and everything shuts down, and it's like everyone has to wear masks, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I had barely known anybody at that point. I had just started going, we just found a church we were going to regularly, and we were just getting things going, and I was finally starting to make friends. And then it was like, nope, we're not allowed to meet anybody or see anybody. And so it was a really challenging time in my life and my business. And I will say, when it comes to leadership, people follow you, right? So it's like, if I'm kind of down and I'm not doing the right things, my team kind of wasn't either, if I wasn't completely focused. And so I got a little out of focus for probably about a year with all the craziness that was going on. And so luckily, these amazing events that we go to, they got me back on track. I went to Emerald Extravaganza in Mexico last year and was with my friends there, and they're like, you got to stop focusing on all this craziness that's going on in the world. And I was like, okay. And I finally just stopped. And, my team and I were all focused on going to Leaders Retreat, of course, that next year in March. And we just put our heads down and worked our tails off. And I got a lot of my girls there, and I went Sapphire by April. And so that's kind of my journey of how everything went. I started sharing and decided that I wanted to do Plexus because, like I told you, I was only back in the States for 10 months, and working a photography business or any kind of business, it's really hard to just pick up and move like that so quickly. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to build a clientele that quickly. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try this out and see how it goes. And I love it. I mean, I'm still passionate about my photography, and I'm just as passionate about health. And I love that this is a place where I can help people. I love that the friendships and the community, because you would think that we have some tight community in the military community, and we do. I'm not saying we don't have that support, but I move every couple of years, and because of that, it's really hard to have really tight, close friendships. And so that was extremely important to me, and that's what I absolutely love and am so passionate about when it comes to Plexus. So that's kind of what I was going to share with my story. I didn't know if you want me to get into some tips. Are you struggling to unmute? Okay, do you want me to just go into it? Okay. Okay, so I just want to share with you guys a little bit, kind of things that I've learned along the way in my journey, my personal journey. And I know not everybody struggles with the same things, but because of the way things went with me, one of the things that I struggle with, and again, I don't know if you guys, as far as your personality colors or anything like that. So I am a yellow red, and I am a 4-wing 3 on the Enneagram. So if you guys know anything about that, that might help you out with kind of my personality and the way I am. But comparison is a huge thing for 4s. We compare, even though we want to be unique and different, but comparison has always been a struggle for me in this journey. And so I've had to learn how to not compare myself to others, and not just like in the way where I'm comparing myself thinking I'm not good enough, but also comparing myself by trying to do what they're doing. And so I would find myself in those places where you would see the people who were winning and doing all the things. And so you try to do what they're doing, what you can see that they're doing, right? And I think that got me off track a little bit because I wasn't necessarily being myself. So one tip I will always tell everybody is, obviously, comparison is the thief of joy. We all know that. Your journey is not their journey. And just be yourself. Like, that is extremely important to make sure that you are yourself when it comes to all of this. Make sure that you're being vulnerable and that you're sharing your heart and not somebody else's. Just like when it comes to your posts too, if you find a post that you read and it sounds incredible, but it doesn't sound like you talking, make sure that you're obviously changing that up to sound like you. The speed you go does not determine your worth. I hear people from my team ask all the time, like, how long did it take to get you to get here? How long did it take you to get here? And for the longest time I would get down. I'd be like, oh, I'm just an emerald. I stayed emerald for this long. You guys, like, how bratty is that? I know there's so many that would be so grateful to be an emerald. And I remember thinking when I was even when I was gold, or when I just started the business, thinking if I could just get to emerald, I'd be happy, right? I just want to get to emerald. And it's just so funny how so many of us, we say, if I could just get here, I'd be happy, but then it's never enough, right? And so I had to, change my mindset there and be grateful and just not think, oh, I'm not good enough because that person got to Sapphire this fast or diamond this quickly. And here I am just still sitting here. Yes, there are people that started after me and started sharing and just took off and are diamonds and have been diamonds. And I'm still, I'm Sapphire, but who cares? Like, that does not matter. So your rank does not define who you are. And I also want to just add in there too, losing rank does not define either. So, and that was another thing. I lost my rank for maybe 5 months out of the whole 4.5 years. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty grateful that that's all it was. But when I did lose for those 5 months, and that's when I lost a bunch of people all at once. It was just like a pruning time in my business for whatever reason. I just remember always saying, well, my leader would ask me to do something. And I'm like, well, I'm not really an emerald. And she's like, you are an emerald. Like, you earned it. You got there. You are an emerald. And so I just want to share that with you guys, because I obviously don't know how your journeys have went, or if you've ever lost a rank, but your rank does not define who you are, and it doesn't make you any less of a leader. And so mindset is so, so, so important. And so for me, I've learned that I have to work, and everyone I would say has to work on mindset every single day. It's such an important thing to do. And I feel like there were times, because I was an emerald, I thought that people saw me a certain way. And so it was, I had to already be here, right? Like, I didn't need the work. And that's not true either. We all need work. We all need daily mindset work. And so it held me back in ways, because I wasn't doing that work, because I was thinking I'm supposed to be this way, when that's not true, right? Obviously, we should all be growing throughout our entire journey. We're always going to change, and we're never where we're meant to be, right? Until the very end. So I just wanted to share that. Learn to go with the flow of the seasons. And this is something I had written down, because this is something, again, as a red, if you guys are red personalities, please let me know and share, because you guys probably, are probably like always like, gotta win all the time, gotta be the best. And that's something I had to just kind of chill out a little bit. But as a photographer, and I like to compare it to my photography business because it's just easier for me to compare it that way. But as a photographer, my busy season was from March through November. Nobody wanted pictures during the winter seasons, right? So it was like my slow months, we'll call it. And it's when I had to basically have the other months carry me through. So it's the same with this business. And so we can't let things get us down. If like our points go down, might dip down a little bit this time of year. We might lose rank because we were so close. Like maybe we just hit like the 750 senior ruby, during like the busy months. And now we're back at like 650. That does not matter. Like, do not pay attention to those points or let them stress you out or bother you. Now, I try to always keep my mindset when it comes to that, or this time of year, that we are going to grow and we are not going to go backwards and everything's going to be great. And especially with this reset, everything's going to be awesome. We're going to continue to grow. But, there are times where, this is the time of year where people are always kind of giving up on themselves, right? As far as, can't afford the products right now because of this, or, I'm eating sugar anyways, just basically making all the excuses. So it's just, I try to just let people know it's the seasons, and we all know in this business when things go up and when they go down, and you just got to kind of just learn to go with the flow of it and not get frustrated and just kind of be grateful for all the things and where you're at with the business. And then last thing I just want to share with you guys is just be coachable. That's one thing that I would say I wasn't so much at the very beginning. I was kind of a little bit of a know-it-all. Make sure you're letting others help you, and you're always a learner. I think it's extremely important to always be focusing on personal growth and making sure that you're making that a daily habit, and that you are learning from your leaders and listening to them and letting them guide you. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I really fast, I'll just tell you guys 2 books that changed things for me. When I was gold or senior gold, the Color Personalities, the MLM book, that really helped me a lot to understand people a little bit more and understand as far as, why they wanted this business. And I learned a little bit more how to interact with them. Atomic Habits was the other book that was extremely helpful for me. And you guys have probably read that. I think I read it like 4 times. I usually listen to it on Audible about 3 times in a row. And I know that might sound a little excessive, but I feel like I need to keep listening to it over and over again. And then I'll read it as well. And so that has really changed my business, because it got me better with my daily habits and making sure that I'm doing them. I used to think, I don't need to do my follow-up every day. I'll just do my follow-up on my Fridays. And so I've gotten better about doing my winning day every day, and daily gratitude journals. I do my daily mindset. I have a habit tracker. So I will say the daily work is extremely important. So I hope that you guys have gotten a lot out of this, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know if you guys put anything in the chat because I can't see.
Thank you so much. I couldn't figure out this new update. I was like, how do I unmute? I was going to ask you your book. So thank you for sharing that. We love personal growth on our team. I know it's a big thing in Plexus, but our team's really, really just loves personal growth. We do the Enneagram and the Color Personalities. And so I have never read that book. I want to look that book up that you mentioned. So thank you. The Color Personalities book that you said for MLMs.
Yes, it's really good. Have you ever taken the test?
We've taken the test, and a lot of the people probably in this chat have taken the test. But I didn't know there was a book. I just thought there was a link on, kind of like the Enneagram. I know there's books, but you can take tests on.
Yeah, it's really small too, and really quick and easy to read. And it's really helpful. It actually gives you ideas on how to talk to this color personality and just that kind of thing.
Love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Anyone have questions? So I didn't say earlier, Jacobette is actually one of our military wives. She's over in Puerto Rico, and her husband is in the Coast Guard. So she gets the whole moving and everything that you mentioned. She can totally. Let's see. Anyone? Let me check out if I can find it. Every time I click on it, it like pulls my face up. So I'm not sure what I'm doing with this new. Any questions in the chat? Let's see here. Miss Wendy just said, thanks for sharing such great tips. And yes, thank you for taking time. I know it's getting late over there. But it's neat to see a journey where the consistency pays off, and you're Sapphire. Like, that's amazing. And like you said, sometimes we can let our points define us, or comparison becomes a trap. And so thank you so much for all of those reminders. I know that they were really good for me, and I'm sure everyone here on the call. If there aren't any questions, we will let you go. Anyone speak now? Unmute yourself. I think we're good. This will be recorded, and once we have it up on a link, I will send it to you in case you want it for future use. But thank you again for taking time out for our team tonight. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, have a good evening. Anyone else who's on the book study, we're going to end this link, and then we're going to jump over to the other link. So go grab your book, and we're doing chapters 4 and 5, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.